TOA community, welcome back to the channel. Robert Linkle with trainingtheolderadult.com. I want to talk to you today about why people fall and why typically as we age, as the number goes up on age, typically the number of falls increases as well. Why is that the case? Why do our natural strength levels and abilities and our capability of balancing and coordinating ourselves and moving through locomotion, just our body's coordination in itself, why does this all decline? What's happening? How do we prevent it? What are some of the goals, things that we can implement on our daily life to reduce our risk of falling? And what type of training should we do to increase our strength and our stability, ultimately keep us from falling entirely? So to start this whole thing off, this is not, let me start by saying this is not a political statement. There is nothing, we are not even going to talk politics, but I am going to show you the #1 searched video on the internet right now. And if you, if you search and put into Google or whatever search engine you're using, fall, this is the very first video that pops up. So unfortunately, President Biden had a fall, and I want to review this with you and why and how this happened. It is the most famous fall on the internet, and unfortunately, well, let's say fortunately, he wasn't severely hurt, but this is a very good example of a deconditioned body that is not capable of reacting in any type of appropriate time frame. Again, all I'm simply looking at is the human being that is moving right here, not who it is politically, etc. What are my concerns? What are my thoughts? The first action in this is as he goes to move, okay? And I've seen President Biden move multiple times on stage. He likes to do this little trot, like a little run that he's going to go out on the stage. I believe he's starting to do that right here. So he's trying to move his foot quickly. And in the step of doing that, he either hits his own foot or there was some suggestion that there was a sandbag or something like that there holding a teleprompter or something. Though we never see that in the video, the next thing you know, he's just gone, okay? Now, in most falls, someone will catch their foot onto something and they'll be able to throw their front foot forward in an attempt to rescue the fall. If you watch Biden here, there is no attempt to get that leg out in front. He's literally just going down like a bag of potatoes. Like he is down hard, bangs his knee, both hands out in front, could have broken a wrist, his hands, his elbows, his arms, his shoulders, his knee or his hips, okay? Points back to something that he tripped over. Totally get it. The guy tripped, okay? Not saying that this shouldn't have happened, but in a more conditioned, a stronger, a more muscled individual. He, in my opinion, is severely deconditioned and severely under-muscled for a man his age. He should definitely have more strength and stability to him. And it's not just because of this video, okay? Let me show you some other ones here now. Okay, let me go back to my share. I'll stop screen share on that one. And let me open screen share on this guy. Here we go on this one. Okay, so when we watch all these, this is a little collage of all of his falls, which have numbered in, I believe, 9 falls in the last 6 months or something along those lines, okay? Or maybe 9 falls in the last year or something they said there. In these ones, again, this is a deconditioned individual who does not have the neuromuscular strength and patterning. His brain is saying, pick up your feet and move. But because probably of sarcopenia, okay, which is the degeneration of muscle mass to a point where you're starting to lose function, right? It's not just atrophy, you're losing function. This is his sarcopenia, his so severe atrophy that literally picking up his foot, and it's almost always his right foot. He has a toe drag on there that when he starts to stumble, it's his right foot that's attempting to go up to the next step. He doesn't have the strength to dorsiflex and pull his right toe up and transition it onto the next step. Okay, when he's walking, just generally walking, this one doesn't count in my opinion. The one on the bike, I don't even want to watch it. That one doesn't count. That's got nothing to do. That's just not getting your foot out of the basket in time. The little things that are around your feet. When he's walking about, you see these small little waddly steps, the typical like old man or old person steps. And we're going to talk about those in pretty good depth here and why older people walk like that. And then now here we go. back to this one, okay? Again, takes one step down hard. I mean, you can see not even an attempt to get that other leg out there. Toast, okay? Just falls hard. And again, I'm not poking fun. I'm heartbroken for him because this is a devastating situation. One of these falls, okay, again, 9 falls, if not in the last 6 months to the year, if not more, because I'm sure he's not always on camera, right? He could have more falls. When you take 2 or more falls in 1 year, you are considered a fall risk. If you're taking 1 or more falls a month, you're considered a high fall risk, okay? So as far as we know, he's doing at least 1 a month, okay, that we've seen on camera. And the reason this is a concern is one of these falls is, I mean, fingers crossed, hopefully not, but the chances are not great. One of these falls is going to end in a catastrophic injury. One of these falls is going to end up breaking a hip or breaking a shoulder or something along those lines, because you can see how deconditioned his body is. And he's just a very good example of what the average older adult right now, and I'm going to say 70, 75 and up. So there is a term that we use in our industry called frail elders. I do believe he falls into this. He does look like a very frail individual, and there are a lot of frail individuals out there. I'm just showing you video examples of the most popular one on the internet right now. Again, no political statements made. I just wanted to show you a video, okay? Deconditioned bodies like this, frail elders, individuals, they will take very small little steps because they feel like these small little steps make them more stable. But if this were the case, all the 20 and 30 and 40-year-olds out in the world would walk like that as well. But they don't. They take longer, wider, bigger base steps, because the wider your base, the more stable you are, not the more narrow, small steps, the more stable you are. Think of a spinning top, okay? A spinning top is in perfect balance as long as it is in balance. But what happens as soon as it gets out of balance, it wobbles and it hits down hard. And that's what you just saw. You saw a wider based, broader shouldered individual that took very small, tiny little steps. And as soon as one of those steps did not get out in front just far enough to keep him upright, down he went. When you sprinkle in now osteopenia, early onset of softening of the bones, or osteoporosis, full onset of softening of the bones to the point where they're going to hollow out now and break easily, along with deconditioned, along with undermuscled, okay? All of those, he's not obese, so he's got that going for him. He is a lean individual, but I would not say he's a fit individual, right? We would look at fit and say he would have enough muscle mass and enough bone density. That's a fit individual. He is an appropriate body mass for his age, but I think he is under-muscled for his body frame, for his age. He should have 8 to 10 more pounds of muscle on him and should be a much more stable, capable individual. I think he probably does a lot of cardio and works on his heart and his cardiovascular system, but I don't think he lifts weights, okay, is my thought on this. So when we kind of go into the thought process on this, why are people falling down like that? Because they're deconditioned. And when I say deconditioned, it means that they don't have the muscular strength. They don't have the bone density, the tendon and ligament tensile strength to it that allows the muscle to pull on the tendons and the ligaments to react the limb quick enough to move dynamically and rescue itself. Okay, so there are situations where an individual will simply try to move their leg quickly and sever by tearing off a hamstring or tearing a quad or tearing a pec if they try to move an arm too quickly, right? You simply try to manipulate your body faster than you have in decades, if not a very long time. And the muscles and the insertions, they can't react to that. They can't hold to that. And so they just come apart. These are where severe injuries will occur. Unfortunately, my neighbor right across the street, we just met this lady. On Saturday, we're outside building our chicken coop. Lady came over. Hey, I got some stuff in the car. I can't get it out. Could you come over and help me? I'm halfway across the road. Other neighbor drove up and said, no, I got it. No worries. Met the lady for 45 seconds. Super sweet little lady. But what am I always doing when I watch people? I'm always assessing their anatomy, their body, how big of a fall risk are they? And I watch her take these little waddling steps away, arms out to the side like she's flying, right? And I looked at her and said, that's a really unstable individual. She is not producing a gait that will naturally keep her upright if she ever gets out of balance. She's a perfectly balanced top for the moment, but the second it gets out of balance, she's gonna go down, okay? Not 24 hours later, we find out from the neighbor that she fell in her backyard, compound fracture to her hip, laid on the ground for 90 minutes yelling for someone to come and help her. The neighbor heard her. Mind you, she's not like our next door neighbor. She's 800 meters down the road here. We're out in the country a little bit. One of the neighbors heard her, thought it was an animal that was squealing, and it was this lady yelling for help. This isn't a deconditioned, under-muscled individual that fell, couldn't get back up. Compound fracture, I don't blame you for not getting back up, right? But if she were muscled properly, if she were dense enough in her bones, hopefully she would have just fallen and bruised and not broken like she did. That is my concern when I look at President Biden, when I look at older, frail individuals, that if they hit the ground, think of a PVC pipe hitting a rock or a curb or just the ground, and it just breaks into pieces. That's literally what's happening with individuals that have osteopenia or osteoporosis and they're deconditioned and undermuscled. That's what happens with it, and that's why it's so catastrophic when they fall, okay? So looking into this a little bit more, I've got like 4 different articles here that I want to go through, and I want you to kind of see this. For some reason, this one would not unhighlight once I put it in there. So the cause for older adults to fall, all right? Your eyesight, your hearing, and your reflexes start to decrease naturally as we age. So these are things that we can combat with hearing aids, with proper eyesight, right? And with training to help at least elevate or maintain a certain level of reflexes to help keep you there. Certain conditions, as in diabetes, heart disease, etc., will create thyroid problems, nerve problems, feet and blood issues. If you have neuropathy in the hands and the feet from diabetes, from smoking for long periods of time, etc., you're going to have a hard time maintaining your balance. The question comes into now, do I do balance training? Do I do strength training? Do I do stability training? Do I do power training? Which one of these or what combo of those is going to help me stay upright longer? We'll get to that here in just a little bit, but we're going to have to do some kind of training to get our bodies to maintain a condition that will keep them upright, okay? All right, other things to consider when you're here: mild cognitive impairment, definitely some dementias, Alzheimer's, etc. Those are going to start to come into effect as we age. A very high number, I'm not going to throw out a percentage because I don't know it, but a very high number of people are now experiencing that. We are living longer, but we are experiencing more disease as we live longer in that. Age-related muscle mass, known as sarcopenia, okay? Problems with balance, with gait. Gait is your natural stride length of your step, which on most people, it's 3 of your foot lengths, not 3 feet, not 36 inches, 12, 12, 12, 3 of your foot lengths. So if your foot is 10 inches, from the back heel to the toe is 10 inches, okay? Let me see if I can fit this in frame. 10 inches, right? And then you do another 10 inches and another 10 inches. That's where your front toe and your back heel should be. 10, 20, 30 inches between your back heel and your front toe. That's after the second step. If I'm standing and I do a push-off step, and now I'm up to speed, now I should have 30 inches, 30 inches, 30 inches. That's how far we should be stepping. Okay, the average frail elder is taking 8 to 10 inches in between steps. Little shuffling steps, the spinning top. Okay, the average 50 to 70-year-old's taking 12 to 16 inches in between. Again, unless you're a size 7 or a size 5, we're not getting enough, which you're not, okay? Our feet are much bigger than that. You're not taking big enough steps to keep you stable, right? So why do they not take these big steps? And I've heard trainers say this. I tell them to take bigger steps all the time. They can't. They literally cannot. They don't have the strength. They don't have the stability. They don't have the ability to take that big of a step and not fall down because they are deconditioned and undermuscled, okay? If you don't reach your arms over your head for 10 years, you'll try to reach overhead like this. Your arms will not allow you. Your neck will be frozen. Your arms will be frozen. They won't be able to reach overhead like a natural bicep to ear. You won't be able to do that because you haven't practiced doing it. So why, as you get older, if you're not taking long strides, big strides like in jogging, rucking, running, going up and down hill, taking 2 steps at a time, if you're not practicing that skill, why would your body maintain it? It will not. It will undercondition and demuscle itself to the point where all it needs to do is take a 6 to 12 inch step because that's all you've asked of it, okay? So the goal is to build strength back to the point where they are capable of taking these bigger gait steps. How? We'll get to that in just a minute. So we're going to see that. Drops in blood pressure, okay? This is definitely, especially if you're going from laying down to sitting upright or from sitting to standing, These are things we need to take our time with as we get older. Make sure you're making those transitions slowly, especially if you know you're susceptible to this. It can create dizziness, and the next thing you know, down you go. My father started to experience this towards the end as well. My father just passed a little over 2 weeks ago and also had multiple falls towards the end of his life here that were accompanied by blood pressure issues, ultimately ending up in a heart attack after a really severe fall, okay? Of which he broke multiple ribs and probably broke his shoulder. We never really found out because he passed away. All right, foot problems that cause pain, neuropathies, etc., or any other foot injuries, arthritis, etc. Unsafe footwear. If you don't have good balance and stability, don't wear thong sandals. Everybody know what that is? Not like thong, like the thong that goes around your big toe and your next toe. The one that if you shuffle your feet along, they might just slide right off your foot. You need a sandal that's like a Teva, like a sandal that will attach to the front and the back of your foot if you want to wear sandals. Don't wear shoes that just slide your feet in. I know it's easier to just slide your foot into a shoe. And at the very end, my dad asked for this and I told him no. I'm like, at least let me get you Velcro shoes. Something where you still have to hinge and apply pressure to strap it to your foot. Not where you just slide your foot in. Why? Because if it slides in that easy, is it going to slide out that easy? You're damn right it will. So now it becomes a trip hazard, okay? We need to create less opportunities for you to fall, not add another one to it by putting loose footwear on your feet. Also, the ability to bring your leg up to your lap and put your shoes and your socks on and or hinge over and do that yourself is vitally important. Okay, and that's an important component. If you never have to hinge over and reach to your feet anymore to clean them, clip them, maintenance them, which we should be doing on a weekly basis, by the way, go back to my other video on proper foot care. I am not a podiatrist, whatever a foot doctor is, I think that's right. It might be a child doctor that I just said. Anyway, whatever a foot doctor is, I think it's a podiatrist. Go back and watch that video. I am not it. I just give you my personal foot care and routine, which I think is super, super, super important. Male, female, anybody across the board. Everybody should be taking care of their feet because they're the only two that you get, right? And it's not terribly attractive when your feet are gross. And it's really difficult to perform when your feet hurt and when they're not in good shape. More infection, more disease comes about via the feet as we get older than almost anywhere else, okay? People are losing limbs, losing nubs, parts of their fingers, parts of their feet because they start to get infections there because they're not maintaining and taking care of their feet. I also happen to have personal family experience in that department. Okay, so proper footwear, okay, be careful with this for sure. Medications, there are many medications that can mess with your depth perception, with your ability to balance, with your breathing, with your blood pressure, all these things. Make sure your medications aren't causing more issues than they are doing good for you. And then safety hazards in the home, throw rugs, wires that are running, electric wires, right, lamps, etc., dogs, cats, animals, anything that's gonna run in and out. One of my clients, Jerry, had a hip replacement. And he was showing me a video of him walking from the family room into the bedroom. And he goes, check it out, Robert. It's a great video. I love it. He's all excited. As he's walking, the dog runs in front of him and almost takes him out. And my heart's like, oh my God, Jerry. I mean, we almost got on video him falling and breaking his just replaced hip. Luckily for him, he was strong enough and capable enough to throw his foot out and rescue, but the dog almost took him out. So don't let that become a problem either. Definitely check out and make sure any issues you have about the house are gonna assist. I wanted to give you information on sarcopenia, so there's that. Okay, you can learn more about sarcopenia. Other steps to preventing any fall injuries or risks. Talk about exercise plans. We'll get into this here in a minute, but exercising on a regular basis, at least twice a week for 20 minutes. That's a bare minimum. I would much rather you do 30 to 60 minutes of physical activity daily. Okay, that means every single day, gang, but you got to build up to that. And that doesn't mean resistance training every day. It just means physical activity. So you might be going out for a walk and working in the garden one day, and the next day you're in the weight room doing some resistance training. The next day you're taking a yoga class and you go out and hit some golf balls. And the next day you're back in the weight room, right? And so we rotate those types of techniques and strategies and implement every day you're doing something. This is what keeps you on top of your game. It keeps you capable and able. I took last Sunday off. I was out in the yard, I did stuff, but I didn't warm up. I didn't do my mobilities. I didn't do my regular resistance training routine. I wanted to take the day off. How did I feel Monday when I woke up? Stiff, sore, and out of sorts. Okay, your body gets used to doing these things on a daily basis because you've created a body that now depends on that to feel good. When you don't do it, your body doesn't function as well. So if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. Does everybody follow that? And that is 100% true. That is the SAID principle at its best. If you're not continuing to challenge your body with some type of overload, then it's not going to adapt and improve and or at least stay the same, okay, to whatever demands you're putting onto it. Okay, yoga, balance, tai chi, all that stuff, fall proofing the house. We talked about that a little bit. Okay, your ears and eyes, make sure you're getting good tests on all that, proper footwear, medications, enough sleep. This is a big one. If you are under sleeping, not getting enough rest, you are going to have a harder time with your reaction, with your hand-eye coordination, with your ability to cognitively process information quickly and go, oh, I think I'm falling, before you know it, you're on the ground. Okay, because you're so exhausted and so tired. And then another thing to go with this is a lot of older people too, they will break up their sleeping patterns based on other things going on in their life, okay? My dad, again, as an example, had dialysis 3 days a week. And so dialysis would wipe him out. He'd get home at like noon and he would sleep the rest of the day. So now his circadian rhythm for sleep was completely screwed up because he'd wake up at 6 o'clock at night rested. And now he's up all night long, and the next morning, okay, he's not tired. So now he's halfway through the day, he goes to sleep. Well, now he didn't have dialysis, he goes to bed at a regular time. So every day it was sleep through the night, sleep through the day, through the night, through the day, and he never got into a rhythm. So he was always really tired. Okay, on the other side of things, if you never go out and do anything, you never leave the house, you're never active, why would your body need to sleep? Because you're not doing anything to exhaust it to make it say, I need to shut down and rest for a little bit. So that's where a regular activity is super important, but making sure you're picking appropriate activities that your body can do, okay? Avoiding alcohol is a big one too. I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but that is a big part of this. Definitely slows your reaction time and can cause more damage than good. Again, won't speak out of school on that too much as I don't know a ton about it, but I know there's plenty of research to support that. Okay, here's the next one. They talk about using canes and walkers as needed. If you need one of those, please do use it. But if you can train yourself to not need it, I think that's a better way to go. You are now going to rely and become dependent on a crutch, literally a cane or a walker or a crutch, to hold you, to support you, rather than you being able to do it under your own power. I had a client named Mary who used to walk about a half a mile from her house to the gym and train with me. She would use her walker to get there just to make sure she was staying safe on the road. But once in the gym, she didn't use the walker. She walked around the gym, did the same thing in her house. Once she was home, she was good. She only used the walker to get to where she was going in an area where she was concerned if she did fall, she would be in trouble. That totally makes sense to me. But if she were to use that walker or cane constantly, even though she's capable of walking, she is going to decondition and undermuscle herself towards that crutch rather than using the crutch to keep her up. Does everybody follow me on that? It's not going to help you. It's going to hinder you, okay? It's going to crabs in the bucket, pull you back down rather than push you out and help you achieve more. Those tools are literally used to rehabilitate people as needed until they don't need rehab anymore, okay? So consider that when you're using, or if you're using one of those tools, can you build your way out of that, okay? We talked about footwear, talk about different things, getting up and down off the floor, socks on tile or wood flooring. Please be careful of those kinds of things. And if you're having any kind of problems, anything, talk to your doctor, right? This is a very cool chart. I want to show you this little infographic here as it talks about talking to your healthcare provider about medications, making sure that's not messing with you, okay? Do strength train and resistance train on a regular basis, cardiovascular exercise, etc. Get your vision and your hearing checked again. I know I'm hitting a lot of the same bullet points here, but I want you to see these. Make your home safe for using at night with night lights. Okay, in bathrooms, make sure you install bars at the top of stairs. You're securing carpets. Make sure they're either being stuck, sticky tape, double sticky taped, or suction cupping certain pieces of furniture that move, etc., to the floor. Standing up and getting up and down from the bed or from the floor, wherever you're getting up and down from, slowly to avoid dizziness if that's an issue, and then use your walker or cane if needed, okay? Again, but only use those things as needed. Now, we're gonna talk a little bit about what else can we do. Here's a little more information on bone density, okay? Quitting smoking, avoiding alcohol, getting more calcium and more vitamins, and eating on a regular basis. But big key here is resistance training on a regular basis. And that's really what I wanted to dive into and show you here. Talking about osteoporosis, osteopenia, and basically the osteoblasts and the osteoclasts battling each other to degenerate bone and to build back bone, and your build backers basically start to slow down as the breakdowners start to speed up as we age. That's where resistance training becomes such a key part of this. So a couple of these articles, okay, the effects of power on balance and fall prevention in aging older adults. This is a good one, 2021. We're going to talk about this a little bit. And then there's another article. Let me jump ahead. I want to show you this one right here, 2013. I know it's 10 years old. This is the 2013 one, right? Yeah, it's 10 years old. Best practice for fall prevention exercise program to improve balance, strength, power, and psychological health in older adults study protocol for a randomized control trial. All right, in both of these, basically what they looked at is, do we do resistance training? Do we do stability training? Do we do balance training? Do we do power training? Which one of those, okay, among these three, there's one more, let me show you the third one here too. One more article, that's the 2013, here it is. This one here, exercise-based reduction of falls in a community-dwelling older adults and network of meta-analysis, okay? Between these three, they look at those options, balance, stability, resistance, power. And they say which one of these is the best thing for reducing falls. There wasn't conclusive evidence of any one of them being a standout, with exception of power training. Those that did power training were exceptionally better at maintaining their balance than any other individual skill being only trained. So if you only did resistance training, okay, steady state. 2 seconds by 2 seconds by 2 seconds by 2 seconds. Balance training, standing on one foot, closing an eye. All of these are good things. I'm just saying that if you only do one of these, right? Power training would be the one to do, as it got the best return for helping people maintain their balance and fall prevention, okay? But what is the problem with power training? The problem with power training is you can't learn how to move weight quickly, which is the definition of power training, okay? If I'm bench pressing 2 seconds by 2 seconds, that's resistance training, right? But if I go up as quick as I can and then bring it down controlled, up as quick as I can, bring it down controlled, that's now power training. It's the exact same movement. It's a change in tempo that changes the outcome in which the way that I'm training. I'm deciding to move a lighter load faster, so my body knows what it's like to move lighter loads faster, right? So my body will learn how to be powerful, how to be dynamic. But if I don't build stability, if I don't build strength, and if I'm not balanced, my ability to train power is not all that great, okay? So that's where I'd say all four of these are vitally important. You need to train all of them. But where it's going to be overshadowed by the whole thing is get stronger, okay? And you can get stronger in stability training. You can get stronger in resistance training. You can get stronger in power training for sure, right? But if you just do balance training, are you going to get stronger? No. You're going to get better at whatever balancing skill you do. So I tell my clients, if you're going to, hey, I like to stand on one foot and brush my teeth. You know what that's going to get you better at? Standing on one foot when you brush your teeth. That's it. When you're walking out to your car with groceries and you trip on something, oh, my 1 foot balance test while I brush my teeth, that does nothing for you in maintaining your balance and catching that fall. But when I do resistance training in the gym and I practice drop step lunges, forward step lunges, high step ups, high step downs, suitcase carries, sandbag tosses, when I transition and learn how to throw weight and decelerate weight and throw weight and decelerate weight, when I learn how to do those things, that transfers to me going, oh, I stepped, I slipped, I stumbled, I tripped, and I throw my foot out to rescue my fall. That's how I keep myself from falling, because I worked on power, I worked on strength, I worked on stability, I worked on coordination. And an accompanied attempt of all of those makes you better at balance, makes you better at staying upright. It improves your gait. It gives you a wider base at the bottom. And now all the things that you've done in this room training are going to start to transfer into daily life. My client Nancy just today told me, if it wasn't for these RDLs and these kickstands that we do, I would have fallen this weekend. She said something about her son was helping her move some things, I think, and left something on the ground, and she didn't see it, and she stumbled and threw her foot out into like a kickstand position, was able to like stick it. And normally she's like, I would have just fallen. But because we practice that skill, we practice that all the time, right? And I'm constantly telling them, this is why we're doing it, right? Envision that you're catching your toe and you're having to throw your foot out into this kickstand hinge position, and now you've just rescued your fall. Rather than you took a little step and your momentum still carried over the top. So you took another little step and your momentum, and now I accelerated that fall by going faster, 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 right? Rather than one stick and I've got it. Now I get ramped up, I get excited talking about this because I don't want you to fall. I don't want your clients, trainers to fall. I don't want your athletes, coaches to fall. I don't want any of you to fall, because if you fall at an older age, 50 and over, the chances of your rehabilitation back to where you were are pretty low. I'm gonna estimate around 50%. If you're 70 and over, you got a 20% chance of getting back to where you were, let alone improving. And if you're over 80, it's extremely low. It's extremely unlikely that you're gonna get back to anywhere near your capability prior to that fall. There's such a low chance, I don't remember the number, it's less than 5%, okay, of you getting back to where you were the moment before you fell down. Majority of individuals over 70 that have severe falls die from that fall. And when I say that, it's not they fall, they snap their femur cuts their femoral artery and they bleed out. That's not what I mean. I mean they fall, they break their hip, and they're so incapable and unmotivated. They're just stuck in bed now and they're miserable. Their quality of life drops. Their ability to recover and do anything and their will to live is now so low that their ability to fight through any other susceptibility to infection, disease, anything else that's going on, it's trumped. They are immediately like, I just don't want to do this anymore. And this is not just me saying this. This is the research, okay? It's severe. It's significant. Don't fall. Dr. Peter Attia talks about the 3 things to survive as an older adult. Number 1, be active and train, do something every single day, okay? Number 2 is sleep well and improve your cognition. The body and mind's ability to recover through sleep is huge. Number 3, avoid injury at all costs. Those are the 3 things. Get strong, take care of your body and mind, avoid injury at all costs. Because your ability to recover from one of these catastrophic injuries is exceptionally low. If you are deconditioned, if you are undermuscled, if you're lacking bone density, okay, the chances are less, and less. I want you to live a high quality life. I want you to go out with your boots on at 102 years old. You've been living, you've been loving, your body is in decent shape, and then you just die with good dignity and experiences in life that were fantastic, and there's no decline for months and years and degeneration and misery. I want you to just kick ass until your ticket's punched. That's how I wish everybody would go, because we don't wish that other thing on anyone. And unfortunately, I have bared witness to that over a 4 to 6 month period, and it's miserable. And the individuals that are still here afterwards, those are now the lasting memories. I don't have any negative memories of my dad being in pain, of degenerating before my eyes. He was here, he was fun, he was laughing and joking with the paramedics taking him to the hospital when he had his heart attack, and 3 hours later was gone. I feel like that's a blessing. But he fell and broke both of his hips 5 years ago, and he had a 20% chance of recovering from those. I'm so happy I had the last 5 years with him. I'm so happy I had the last 2 years specifically with him in this room training and helping him become an image in my mind of a smiling, happy, capable person who can do sit-to-stands and calls himself steel legs and thrives. He lived the last 2 years of his life strong and capable. He was not a frail old man. He was an older individual that had built a body that he believed in. He'd built a body that had strength and had stability, and he was out doing things that a man at his age with his limitations in his history should not have been doing. And I credit a lot of that to the hard work he put into this weight room. Why do I make videos like this? Because I hope you get to have an experience like that. I love you all. I hope you're doing well. If you need anything, comment down below. Questions, I'm happy to answer. Please continue to fight your good fight against sarcopenia, and I will see you in the next one.